words, this is not getting discussed on the mainstream media. Not only are they wrong legally, but the fact that they would do this is outrageous. This is an overreaction and really nonsense. How would you react if this was your son or your daughter? It's the offense of knowing the truth. It's the offense of having an alternate worldview. Saying God bless you to someone is not a violation of the law. Welcome to the broadcast, everyone, and I'm thrilled that our television audience is here with us. I want to give you an update on a case that is now in federal court. Atheists are still calling a Jesus statue in Montana a sham, and they've now sued to remove it. Now, let me give you some of the history. Last year, we told you that there was an attempt by the Forestry Service to respond to a complaint by the Freedom from Religion Foundation to remove a war memorial, a statue of Jesus. You're seeing it on the television screen right now. This monument, by the way, has been in place for over 60 years. It is a World War II memorial. By the way, this is a statue that these soldiers of ours that served to defend our freedoms actually saw very similar replicas of this throughout Europe, especially in Switzerland and the regions there. So this is a monument reflecting what these soldiers actually saw. An atheist group asked the U.S. Forestry Service, this is the Freedom from Religion Foundation, to remove the statue. 70,000 of you in very short order signed on to our letter asking the Forestry Service to let it remain, and we won. The statue remained. However, now the Freedom from Religion Foundation group has filed a federal lawsuit, and we are going to file a historic brief to keep this statue of Jesus in place. We'll be representing members of Congress, including congressional members that are actually from Montana, serving the people of Montana and the district where the statue stays, and you. So this is going to be a major, major brief that we're filing, and a lot of calls are already coming in, a lot of discussion about it. David, you know something about this because of serving in the military. You know what these war memorials mean.
It's absolutely clear that they're not just out to censor the American public and censor religious symbolism from America. They're also out to ridicule, to belittle, to mock Christianity, to mock expressions of faith. They do it routinely.
Yeah, and they continue to do this. Ken is calling from Oregon. He's on line one. Hi, Ken.
Hi, I'm first of all a Christian and second a disabled vet.
Well, we appreciate your service to our country. Thank you, Ken.
See the atheist movement as a church that wants to use the legal system to become the only acceptable state church.
I think actually that's a very good analysis because they want to establish a religion of secularism because they don't like anything that has any religious influence on it. And David, you got to give them this. They're consistent in their objections. Anything, whether it's the Pledge of Allegiance, whether it's sectarian, non-sectarian, they don't care. If it's got a religious element to it, they want it out. And they did, and that creates kind of the vacuum is a religion of secularism.
Well, that's exactly right. It's any religious symbolism from public land, from public life, all of it gone, including religious references that are taken from history of things that actually occurred in the past. Gone, all of it, so that the American public is not conscious of its own history.
Let me play for you a statement by their president. This is Annie Gaylor. This is number 11. Take a listen to this, what she says about this memorial.
You can't have a religious war memorial because that excludes Jews and non-Christians and the many atheists and foxholes who fought valiantly during World War II for our country. We want you to get involved. We want you to chime in and say, no, Jesus does not belong on public land.
So that's what the Freedom from Religion Foundation is saying. And by the way, no one's required to view this. There's no worship requirement there. But this is the attitude of the Freedom from Religion Foundation. Folks, we're taking a break right now. What I'd like you to do is go to ACLJ.org and sign on to the brief, which, by the way, almost 17,000 of you have done. This is the Committee to Defend the Jesus Statue War Memorial in Montana. Or you can call us at 877-989-2255 and add your name. That's 1-877-989-2255 or ACLJ.org. Back with more in just a moment.
It's happened again. An atheist anti-Christian group has gone to court, this time to remove a statue of Jesus, a war memorial erected by World War II heroes on a mountain in Montana that has stood for 6 decades. This memorial was erected as a replica of statues that they saw fighting for freedom across Europe, symbols that gave them hope. Yet the Freedom from Religion Foundation calls this memorial, quote, a ruse and a sham, and has filed a federal lawsuit to get it removed. We've met these outrageous anti-Christian challenges before, court, and now we'll do it again. The ACLJ will be filing a critical amicus brief with the court, supporting the memorial and urging the court to keep it in place. Stand with the ACLJ, sign on to our amicus brief, send a powerful message to the court and to the atheist group. This symbol of sacrifice must continue to stand. Add your name to our brief now. Call 1-877-989-2255 or online aclj.org.
Hey, welcome back to the broadcast, everyone. I want to encourage you to get familiar with what we're talking about. That is, there has been a monument, World War II memorial, in place for 60 years at the Big Mountain area of Montana. It has a statue of Jesus. It's a duplicate of what the soldiers actually saw in the Alps. And now you've got a situation where the Freedom from Religion Foundation has filed a lawsuit to get it removed. We are fighting back. We fought back initially with a letter to the Forestry Service, which was successful. 70,000 of you, over 70,000 of you, signed on to a letter basically saying renew the lease. They did. Now a federal lawsuit has taken place, so we're in the litigation stage. It's serious. The Knights of Columbus put it up there initially, but let me play for you one of the presidents of the Knights of Columbus, number 16, what he said about this particular monument.
These particular soldiers had been fighting in the Italian Alps, and as they were doing that, they kept coming upon different kinds of statues like this. And some of those people from here were lost in that war, and others came back here and they found a way to memorialize them.
Well, that's what you have. So this is a memorial to them, and instead, the Freedom for Religion Foundation saying their people are not only they're having to turn away, they can't even go to Big Mountain because they might glance upon this monument. Now, I know you're saying, can this be real? But David, it is real because we're in federal court over it. And again, when you're in federal court on a religion case, as they're trying to pitch it as a religion case, we're going to talk about it as a war memorial. You always got to be concerned because the courts have been kind of all over the place on this.
There's been a lot of inconsistency, and as of right now, and we hope this changes, the law allows somebody who is an offended observer to file a lawsuit simply because they're offended. I mean, we've seen the same thing in the Ground Zero cross where they claim not only did they had to look away, but they were
physically sick. That's what they said, physically sick. Now, here they don't say they're physically sick. They are saying, though, that they have to not enjoy Big Mountain Park because of this, and they also said that their members feel violated in the sense that they are having a direct and unwanted exposure to the statue of Jesus. That's what they don't want. They don't want this direct and unwelcome exposure to this statue in the future. So that's what's their complaint. As I said, we're taking it seriously. That's why we're fighting in court. Over almost 17,000 of you have contacted us already. I want to encourage you to go to aclj.org, sign on to the brief there, or call us at 1-877-989-2255. That's 877-989-2255 or aclj.org. Sherry is calling. She's from Washington State on line 4. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Jay. Thanks for taking my
Sure.
call. This is all hate-driven.
Well, let me tell you what it. Now, let me tell you what it is. It is a complete dislike and an attempt to remove any symbolism that may have even a religious component. I want to be clear with what they're alleging, Sherry, because that's really what we're talking about here. And David, that's what the crux of their complaint, when you look through their lawsuit, there's a religious component to it. They're saying it's offensive. They don't want to be near it. They've got to, alter their way of life. But it's not a hate case. It's a we're offended case. It doesn't even reach it. It's not that they hate it. They're just offended knowing it exists.
Exactly. It's actually kind of pathetic, really, that you can't even look at a statue. But they're prideful in this pathetic mindset that they have.
Yeah.
They're so weak that they can't even see a statue.
Boy, can you imagine that the price of freedom is you can't even look the other way. You just have to have it removed. So they're the great censors in all of this. Let's go to Joyce. She's calling in California on line 6. Hi, Joyce.
Yes, I can't understand why they're not being sued for harassment. That's all it is.
Well, you can't sue them for harassment because they're entitled to bring the lawsuit. Now, we're going to argue that they don't have the standing to bring the lawsuit, so that they should not be in federal court in the first place. But you bring up a good point. Here's how we have to have a rational response to this. They brought a federal. First, it was procedurally. They were trying to get the lease not renewed. we mounted an aggressive letter campaign, which, by the way, the Freedom from Religion Foundation has, of course, put in their complaint that, and I will read it to you, advocates of the religious shrine then responded zealously to the Forest Service's request for public comment, with the American Center for Law and Justice, a conservative Christian advocacy organization, submitting more than 70,000 names of supporters. Representative Rayburg also submitted approximately 10,000 comments he solicited through this veteransjesus.com website. Interestingly, by the way, it was like 95% of people in favor of the monument staying in place. So they're saying, we know it's there. That's reason enough for it to be removed. And that's why we're fighting back in this situation, and we'll continue to do so. But it was procedurally, we first had to get the lease renewed. It was done. Now you got to go from getting the lease renewed to defending it in federal court, and that you do through the legal process. We'll be filing a brief, again, on your behalf, and we want you to join us. Go to the website, aclj.org, or call us at 1-877-989-2255. Tanya is calling from Utah. She is on line 3. Hi, Tanya.
Hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to comment. I don't understand how people would want to take that down. Like, everybody needs hope. Everybody needs, especially our troops fighting, and they see something like that, and it gives them hope. It lets them know that they're not alone.
Well, that's exactly why the monument was put there in the first place, and that was, and let me give you a very significant part of this here, is that is the reason why the monument was put up there. It was basically a memorial to what the World War II veterans actually saw. And David, what people, not in battle don't understand is there are certain things, and you saw this as a soldier fighting in Iraq, there are certain things you see and it has an impact on you. These soldiers saw these type of statues, memorials all over Europe, but specifically in the Alps region, Italy and Switzerland.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the soldiers who are actually fighting, again, this is historical fact, were overwhelmingly Christian. So it makes sense that when they would see these statues, it would mean a lot to them. And, the reasoning of the Freedom from Religion Foundation essentially seems to be, unless everybody is inspired, nobody can be inspired.
Well, that's because they're the great censor here. I mean, if you look at what I'm looking through the lawsuit here, they're the real censors here. They say supporters of the religious shrine tried to overwhelm the defendant with opposition to its decision. This is when the Forestry Service initially said no to the renewal of the lease, including intense lobbying by the United States Representative Denny Rayburg, replete with public rallies at the base of the Jesus statue. First of all, the First Amendment to the United States Constitution says you're allowed to petition the government for redress or grievance. You're allowed to assemble. You're allowed the freedom of speech. So the Freedom from Religion Foundation wants a religious-free zone. That is what they are really looking for. That is what they're really asking for. I want you to go to your phones right now, and I want you to speak out on this. It's very easy to do. You're signing the brief that's going to the district court. Go to aclj.org. You sign the brief there at aclj.org, or call us at 1-877-989-2255. That's 877-989-2255 or aclj.org to sign on to the brief. We're also in a matching challenge campaign, folks. You can help us out there. When you make a tax-deductible gift to the ACLJ online, we get a match. Hey, folks, as we get ready to go to a break, take a look at the Ground Zero Cross. We talked about this. Take a look.
A group of atheists, accurately called American atheists, have decided to sue New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, as well as the states of New Jersey and the city of New York over this Ground Zero cross.
Many saw the cross as a source of hope during the rebuilding, but the organization American Atheists has now filed a lawsuit to get the cross removed from the museum and site, arguing that it violates the separation of church and state.
It's two pieces of the beam of one of the World Trade Center towers. There you can see it. Perfectly shaped cross, and it has stood on the site of Ground Zero for the last 10 years. Well, this group, American Atheists, is now suing to prevent this cross from being displayed at the 9/11 memorial.
These are two steel beams that are in the shape of the cross that made solace to thousands, and I will say tens of thousands of people, including first responders.
It's beyond absurd. Let's be clear about what this is. This is an effort to rewrite faith out of our history.
Jane Everhart says the cross is nothing but an ugly piece of wreckage that does not represent anything but horror and death.
The 9/11 Memorial Museum curators have said this cross is there because it actually had historical significance, and the atheists are so angry about that, they want to write that out of our history so that future generations will never know the cross ever existed. And that's absurd.
They're saying it makes them physically sick. Headaches, migraines, depression, knowing that cross would be in this museum.
They have to allege that they've been physically harmed to be able to get into court.
9/11 had nothing to do with Christianity.
Right.
Christianity hates that this had nothing to do with them. This was about Islam, this was about America, this was about capitalism. This was not about Christianity at all, except that Christians died.
When we were in Iraq, we dealt with Al-Qaeda every day. And never once did I hear an Al-Qaeda terrorist, and we captured many, say, you know, it's your Walmarts that we hate.
Right.
It was they hate American values that are grounded in our Judeo-Christian heritage. They want a Muslim caliphate across the globe. That's what they're motivated by. This is just ignorance, it's hate, it's bigotry.
My friends are true American heroes. You know, even when they knew, when they went in that stairwell to go up and save people, they knew they were not coming out of that stairwell. They knew they were climbing to their death. I also have many friends who are truly very sick right now physically. Many of my friends are dying of cancer. There are numerous firefighters and police officers and construction workers who worked and struggled valiantly on the pile in that toxic soup that are now sick. So for these idiots to say that they are physically ill from two pieces of steel 10 years later it's just laughable.
Can you imagine what would happen if the Muslims actually wanted to put a memorial in Ground Zero? I mean, I want them to try because it is their constitutional right, and I think they should. And if there are Muslims out there listening to this show, you should do it because you lost people and your religion was severely influenced by 9/11, for better or worse. Of course, for worse. Your religion was severely influenced by 9/11. You should have a presence in the memorial.
It's their constitutional right, the Muslims, to have a memorial in 9/11. But, David, it's not the constitutional right to have an artifact that actually survived 9/11 that happens to be in the shape of a cross.
This is a museum with historical artifacts. The historical artifacts were on the pile there. It was a cross. It was not a crescent moon. It was nothing else. It was a cross. They can't change history, but they're trying to.
They are mocking Christianity and are basically making this into a political cause for them and are bragging about the fact that they want this cross removed.
My message to them is it's disgusting what they're doing. Just go away and leave us alone. We're suffering enough. It's the 10-year anniversary. There's enough terrible memories that are stirred up now. We don't need them sticking it in our eye again. And I do want to say that, again, ACLJ is stepping up to the plate. ACLJ is defending the honor and sanctity and the narrative of 9/11 so that people will never forget.
It's happened again. An atheist anti-Christian group has gone to court, this time to remove a statue of Jesus, a war memorial erected by World War II heroes on a mountain in Montana that has stood for 6 decades. This memorial was erected as a replica of statues that they saw fighting for freedom across Europe, symbols that gave them hope. Yet the Freedom from Religion Foundation calls this memorial, quote, a ruse and a sham, and has filed a federal lawsuit to get it removed. We've met these outrageous anti-Christian challenges before, and now we'll do it again. The ACLJ will be filing a critical amicus brief with the court, supporting the memorial and urging the court to keep it in place. Stand with the ACLJ, sign on to our amicus brief, send a powerful message to the court and to the atheist group. This symbol of sacrifice must continue to stand. Add your name to our brief now. Call 1-877-989-2255 or online aclj.org.
Hey, welcome back to the broadcast, everyone. We're talking about this lawsuit by the Freedom from Religion Foundation against the Forestry Service. The issue is the Flatland National Forest, where they have at Big Mountain in Montana, and the Jesus statue has been there for 60 years for our war veterans. Well, they want it removed, and we're fighting back. And by the way, to fight back, what that means is we actually file briefs with the court with you on it. You're part of this committee, and we want representation from all 50 states. An easy way to do it, just go to aclj.org. You go to the website. You can sign on and be part of the brief, or call us at 1-877-989-2255. That's 877-989-2255. Kelly is calling from California in line 5. Hi, Kelly. Welcome to the broadcast. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. You're on the air, sir.
Yeah, I was just noticed this little bit of a intricate thing here where they're targeting one denomination or one faith or even just an idea or symbology. But yet, in the area I live in, we have a number of different faiths, both of the religious kind and of the occult.
Yep.
And yet, they don't target anything like that anywhere in the country. They only target what is, a scriptural thing or a biblical thing.
You are exactly correct. They're not targeting. You don't see them targeting the Quran. They actually had, the same group, by the way, had a Jesus warning sticker, a Bible warning sticker that they wanted placed on Bible saying this is dangerous material. You think they're going to do that to the Quran? I don't think so. But that's who they are, and it is. They call themselves the Freedom from Religion Foundation. But Will, have we seen anything on their website where they've gone after any other group other than Christian organizations or things like the National Day of Prayer? Not. Say, there you go. Okay, so their focus, David, is definitely anything that's Christian oriented or has a Christian influence to it.
Oh, that's absolutely right. I mean, again and again and again, they go after the Christian origins in our country, the Christian heritage in our country, the Christian present, the Christian future. It's all targeted very specifically and explicitly, and essentially what they're asking the federal government here to do is engage in discrimination against Christian expression on land that they've leased to a private organization.
Right. Yeah, exactly right. And that they object to as well. So the caller made a great point. Justin's calling from Texas. He's on line 3. Hi, Justin.
Yeah, I'm an active Army service member right now.
Thank you for your service to our country. We appreciate you calling in and appreciate your service.
Well, we had something similar, even though they claim to be a Christian organization, the Westboro Baptist Church, come here recently and protest the soldiers themselves.
Right.
And it's similar to the fact where, even though that statue isn't supposed to, legally be a sign of a faith, it's supposed to be for the soldiers that served back in that day of, what they went through, in remembrance of what they went through.
Well, that's right. It's a memorial. And what Westboro Baptist does, and they protest military funerals, they're exercising free speech rights. And, a lot of people find it obnoxious, offensive, and I get it because I do too. But that's kind of part of the, the Supreme Court said that's the price of freedom in these cases is, you don't have to let them, by the way, drown out a memorial service. But this situation with the Freedom from Religion Foundation is they want removed the references to faith from these monuments and these statues. They want it gone. And that's why, again, we're fighting back. But, Justin, let me say to you, thank you for your service to our country. Really appreciate it. Ron is calling from Kentucky. He's on line 2. Hi, Ron.
Yes. It blows me away because why does not the Christian, us as Christian believers and believers in Christ, we're not going against the Quran. We're not going against people like that. They talk about putting the warning labels on the Bible, caution stickers and whatnot. How is it that millions and millions of our soldiers have died in beliefs to that monument for years? That stuff's a ripple effect. How many of those soldiers...
Well, what you've got, let me tell you what you've got. You've got a situation, they want to censor and silence anything that has even the possibility of a religious component to it. Even though the monument is there as a memorial, the fact that it's got religious symbolism, to the mind of the Religious Freedom from Religion Foundation, that's enough, David, for it to be removed.
Right. It's enough to them because they're offended by it, because they don't like looking at it. And so because they're offended, they literally make a federal case out of it. And
literally. I mean, here it is. It's in federal court.
Exactly. And unfortunately, the law allows someone to file suits like this because they're offended.
But we are going to aggressively respond. And again, that's where you come in. I got to tell you, I am happy to report that since we've been on the air, couple of thousand of you have gone to the website. Right now, we're over 18,000 people have signed on to the committee on the website. It's possible by the end of the week we hit 100,000, folks. I mean, I think we could hit 100,000 signatures on this. Hundreds of you have called in on the phones. That will be thousands by today and tomorrow. So I want to encourage you, sign on to this brief at aclj.org or 1-877-989-2255. That's 877-989-2255 or aclj.org. Let's go to Jan. She's calling on line 1. Hi, Jan.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. Thanks for calling.
The fact that Jesus statue is offensive to them, well, what about the Jesus statues or cross statues on churches and church property? Are they going to make a lawsuit against everyone?
Oh, they would say, well, a church is private property and this is government property, and then they would, but the question really comes, well, what do they do at Arlington Cemetery where there are award crosses? These are, basically symbolism of valor. There are crosses in the cemetery, as there are Star of Davids, and that's on federal land. Are they going to draw a distinction between that? But it is really, and here you got a situation where the land is actually leased to a private organization, but that's not enough from the Freedom from Religion Foundation. They want it moved because they are the censors. They always say, oh, the right, they're so intolerant. Really? Do you see us filing lawsuits against, monuments somewhere? No. If they comply with the law, for instance, let me give you a for instance, very important for instance here. We challenged the Ground Zero mosque, not because it was going to be a mosque built at Ground Zero, but because the zoning laws and the landmark preservation laws were not being complied with by the city of New York. A church that was destroyed during 9/11 could not get its rebuilding permit for a decade, but they were going to give the mosque a pass after 7 months. I mean, this tells you the nature of what it is. So we got to make sure the law is equally complied with. I'm going to try to grab one more call in here. Judy's calling from California. Hey, Judy, I am really, really tight on time. Go ahead quickly, please.
Well, all I wanted to do, I just wanted to ask these brave souls that are fighting against a statue, against a cross, what would they be doing if those boys had not gone to war, fought those wars?
Well, you're exactly right. For the very freedoms for them to be the dissent, that's what they did. And they'll say, well, we're not going against the soldiers because it's not for all the soldiers. It has to be all-inclusive. They'll come up with rationale, but there is no rationale. By the way, folks, our online petition at 18,085 surpasses the total membership of the Freedom from Religion Foundation. So a bit of interesting news here. Folks, that's going to do it for the broadcast today. I want to encourage you to do something as we close the broadcast out. You go to your phones right now. I want you to add your name to this committee that's filing the brief. I want you to support the work of the ACLJ with an online matching gift. That will really help us out as well. And it's tax deductible. Or simply call us at 1-877-989-2255 to add your name to this brief, 877-989-2255 or ACLJ. And when you're .org, and when you're at ACLJ.org, sign up for the social media. David's blogs on our blog, our docket blog. We've got a Twitter account set up, social media there, Facebook. Get involved, stay engaged on the issues. Easy way to do it, ACLJ.org. You can also, of course, sign that brief or call us at 1-877-989-2255. That's 877-989-2255 or aclj.org.
It's happened again. An atheist anti-Christian group has gone to court, this time to remove a statue of Jesus, a war memorial erected by World War II heroes on a mountain in Montana that has stood for 6 decades. This memorial was erected as a replica of statues that they saw fighting for freedom across Europe, symbols that gave them hope. Yet the Freedom from Religion Foundation calls this memorial, quote, a ruse and a sham, and has filed a federal lawsuit to get it removed. We've met these outrageous anti-Christian challenges before, and now we'll do it again. The ACLJ will be filing a critical amicus brief with the court, supporting the memorial and urging the court to keep it in place. Stand with the ACLJ, sign on to our amicus brief, send a powerful message to the court and to the atheist group. This symbol of sacrifice must continue to stand. Add your name to our brief now. Call 1-877-989-2255 or online aclj.org.